Good morning, everybody. Well, today's a big day because we're going to be installing the inverter and cutting off the AC power and having it flow through the new inverter. So what I'm going to show you is kind of before, and then when I'm done, I'm going to show you after. It's a step process. So we're going to install the inverter, hook up all the AC current, and have it pass through the inverter before we hook up the DC stuff. So stay tuned. Okay, so this is the compartment just before. You can see the transfer switch is still connected. That's the pigtail that goes into the surge protector. So the power comes from the pedestal up through and into there's an outlet right up here. Then I plug the surge protector in, and the surge protector goes down, and then that pigtail, right now it goes into this transfer switch. In a few minutes, this pigtail is gonna go into the inverter. And then this cord right here, this 6-gauge cord, is the cord that goes into the RV, out of the transfer switch into the RV. So that's all gonna get switched over into the inverter, and I'll videotape it when I'm done. See ya. Okay, everybody, today's the day I get to show you the completely installed battery system that I've been working on since March. It's October right now, so I've been working on it for several months now. Obviously not continuously as I get 2 or 3 minutes, but it's taken a lot longer than I thought it would, but I knew there was a lot involved in it, and most of it was learning. I had to learn a lot while I was doing it, anywhere from crimping lugs to gauge sizes to programming inverters. There's a lot to learn. It's like getting an associate's degree in RV electronics when you're doing one of these. But anyways, today I'm going to show you the completely installed system. You can see we're in a beautiful location right now. We're visiting our daughter up at college, and one of the reasons we decided to come up here is because we're actually RVing right now, and we're completely off the grid. We're about our 3rd day up here, and we haven't plugged into a generator at all. I do have my little Honda generator sitting inside of one of these compartments, but I haven't had to plug it in, and I think we're about 63% battery. So these batteries do last a long time. We've been able to run everything we've wanted to run, from hair dryers to we haven't run any air conditioning or heat pumps for that matter, but we have run a lot of electric blankets, microwaves, things that draw a lot of current, and we really haven't. It's just like being hooked up to a pedestal. So without any further ado, I'm going to go through all the details of this, and hopefully it gives some people out there a motivation that it can be done. It just takes a little bit of work. So I'll get started. So I began back in March. I kind of showed you where I was going to put it originally, and I have some stuff sitting inside here. I actually took out the 5,500 watt generator. That's just some stuff sitting on the ground because I wanted to shoot the video and I didn't want all that stuff in the compartment. All that stuff goes in the compartment where the electronics goes, but that's the place for the generator. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to put it back in or not. I'm kind of waiting to see if we need it, quite honestly. But here's the grand reveal. There's the 2 Epoch batteries, and I'm going to kind of zoom in here and talk a little bit about each little thing that I think is worth talking about. I want to first talk about airflow, because airflow is very important. Down here, I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm going to have to go around underneath the RV and show you, but right there is an air intake. It's on the right hand side of these batteries, and that air intake sucks the cool air in, and then right here is a fan. That fan and another fan on the other side, an exhaust fan, are triggered by this relay. There's all sorts of videos out there on how to do that, set that up with your Servo GX. But that relay turns the fan on and off when it gets above 85 degrees, and then when it gets down to 80 degrees, it turns off. Let's see. The cutoff switch is on the negative terminals. There's a lot of discussion out there about whether it should be on the positive or negative. And I think after consensus, I think the bulk of the people put it on the negative. It'd be interested in hearing your feedback on which is better, the positive or negative. Next, I want to talk about how the power comes into the RV. Obviously, we're not plugged in right now, so right there is the 50 amp cord. But the 50 amp cord would come up here and into that outlet. From there, it goes through our Southwire surge guard, EMS. I think it's called an EMS, a surge protector. And then from there, it goes down and around and into the Quattro inverter. So that's the power, AC power in. Right up there, that 6-gauge wire, hopefully you can see it right there. That 6-gauge wire comes from the AC circuit breaker box up in the bedroom, comes down through the floor, and then that goes into the Quattro as an AC out. So that's the AC in, that's the AC out. There will be another one if I decide to put the generator. That grommet right there is for the generator going in, and it'll go into the inverter right there. Looking at this board a little bit closer, the central brains of this whole operation are that Servo GX. Well, it was quite a job getting all those wires run out of this compartment from here all the way up to the front compartment of the motorhome, and I'll show you that in a little bit. As I mentioned, there's a relay right here that turns on and off the fan, and the power going in, the power is a Servo GX, and then here's your thermocouple, comes in right there, that reads the temperature to turn the fan on and off. Coming down, the negative wire comes out of the battery through our smart shunt right there. And that gray wire is our chassis battery. It measures the voltage on our chassis battery, and I'll show you all that in a minute. Comes to the negative bus bar. Everything's copper, got a copper bus bar directly into this bus bar. This is our negative that goes directly to the frame of the RV. Let me crawl under there. Give me a second. I'm going to show you that negative because I think it's important to show you that. You can see that negative line comes directly out of the box and bolts directly to the frame of the RV. This is a smaller gauge wire. This is normally all of the wires are 4/0. This is 2/0. That goes and grounds the chassis of the inverter. Coming over to the positive side, obviously the positive comes out of the inverter to this T-class fuse. That's a 400 amp T-class fuse. By the way, I realized later on I don't think I need that because inside these Epoch batteries they already have a T-class fuse. So I don't think I need that. But then that goes to the bus bar over here. This is for, it's not hooked up. You can see it's not hooked up. That's going to be, if I hook up the generator, that's going to be the 250 amp fuse for the generator start. Then here, this goes all the way up to the front of the RV to the distribution, the Spider Controls distribution panel. I'll show you that in a minute. And that's where all the DC components in the RV are connected through this wire. And this is a 2-gauge wire. 2-gauge wire goes all the way to the front. This is a low volt, no, I shouldn't say low voltage. This is just a small, where all the small 12-volt wires are connected. So that's where the power of the Servo GX gets wired in through. The shunt gets powered through that. The lights, these lights get powered through that. And same thing with that little negative bus bar up there. So I think that's all I can show you about this compartment. Now, the other night I actually did a video before we left for this location to look at the back of this. I'm going to insert that in right here. Okay, now I'm going to show you the back part of where I installed the inverter. And I'm coming over here. It's a motion sensor light to turn on that light. So I'm coming into the back bay on the passenger side of the RV. Again, this is a Tiffin 32CA. It's supposed to be a motion light. And I'm doing this while it's empty. This is normally full with all sorts of camping stuff, but I wanted to give you a quick tour of what's going on inside there. This is the messy side of the inverter, so I don't like showing people, but I think it's important to understand what I did here. So the first thing I'm going to do is crawl up in here, and you'll notice a couple of things. See this wire hanging over here? That is what came with the inverter. That's a thermocouple. Basically, it measures the temperature of the room, and I put it right above the inverter. So this is the exhaust part of the inverter. So if it gets above 85 degrees in there, the Servo GX will kick a relay on and turn on the two fans. The first fan is the exhaust fan. This goes out the back of the RV. And the second fan, I'll show you on the other side. It's right in front of the Servo GX. Sorry, right in front of the inverter. And that basically blows directly onto the inverter. One other thing is KYD did an install down at Ronnie's, and one of the things that he did that I blatantly copied was I cut the top of the lid off of my inverter right here, because the lid went all the way down here, and that essentially blocked the airflow. You can see that what's in there is the white, that's the coil of the inverter. So that a lot of heat comes off there, and there's a fan that blows directly on that and out here. So I wanted to give it as much airflow. There's a fan on the other side and it blows out here. There's a fan internal also. So I wanted to give it as much airflow as I can to blow out there. All right, now I'm going to crawl up in there and give you a little, show you what else is going on up there. Okay, this is the inside of my Quattro inverter. You can see the positive and negative DC terminal lugs right there. You'll see also, apologize, this is really tight quarters. So I apologize, but see this wire right here? These are my two, one line goes to my Servo GX and one line is for my MK3 controller that I can log into the inverter. This right here is my trickle charge that goes all the way up to the front of the RV to the chassis battery. And then over here is my AC1 out, and then over here, my AC in, and then down here is my AC out. So I think I got a better picture of it when it was on the bench, but I wanted to give you guys a picture of it as it was installed. So I'm not sure how much you can really tell from this mess. This is the part that I'm really not very proud of, but it's the best I could do. This is the back of the control panel that I've showed you. And the only thing I really wanted to show you was the fact that the Servo GX is in here bolted down right behind that fan. That's a cooling fan that turns on with the relay. Another couple interesting thing is this right here is a 15 amp battery charger that I got from Epoch when I bought those two batteries. And that battery charger is just in case, or it's a separate 120 line in, so I can charge 15 amps as well as the inverter charging those, because those batteries will take as much current as you can give them. So I have that 15 amp charger just in case I really need to, in a hurry, and really need to get the batteries charged quickly. Then here's the back end of the batteries. Those two are the connect that I showed you how to connect those two wiring harnesses to tie into the Servo GX so you can read the battery management system. Oh, right here is the back shot of the terminal fuses. See these terminal fuses? They're 250 amp terminal fuses, so to protect the 4-gauge line. Al Jones over at My Intrigue told me to suggest that I put those terminal fuses on, It's big in the marine. I've never seen it before, but I guess a lot of people do it. I think that's all I need to show you for now back here. It's taken a long time to get it to this point. It looks like a little bit of a mess, but I'll take you around and I'll show you the front side another time. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you where that wire, that 2-gauge wire that runs from that one fuse that I show you, runs all the way up through and comes up in this compartment right up here. And I'm going to go in and kind of show you what's involved, and hopefully I don't bump my head while I'm doing this. But that wire comes in here, right here, 2-gauge wire, comes in here, goes through the 250 amp fuse. I reused that fuse that I had on the other side that was from the lead acid batteries. I reused that 250 amp fuse, and then the wire goes up to the spider control panel, which is this. This is a whole degree in and of itself, but that 2-gauge wire comes up to the fused house battery. Then there's another wire that comes out and goes all the way over to the BIM. And the BIM, as I went through the diagram, there's two wires that come in. There's one wire that comes in. This goes to the coach battery. That's that 2-gauge wire. It comes right off the 250. The unfused side comes up here. And then on this side, there is two wires. One wire goes to the chassis battery, and one wire goes to the hydraulic pumps for the slide out in the levelers. This wire is the ignition switch, so that gets fused. I had to put a fuse tap in there, right there. Hopefully it's not coming out too fuzzy. I had to put a fuse tap in there. And that came out and tapped right in here. And then obviously the negative, and then this goes to the dashboard switch. So all of that is, I think I laid it out on a diagram so everybody can see how that works. But that's the BIM, Battery Isolator Manager. That replaced the merge solenoid. You can see this is the old merge solenoid. I left it in there. There's nothing connected to it. But that's the old merge solenoid that that basically charged the house batteries while we're driving down the road. So that's the control panel for the spider control panel and how it was rewired after. All right, here's the final product of the control panel. As you can see, it changed a little bit from the original layout, actually quite a bit. So the lower left-hand corner, this is the Touch 50 screen for the Servo GX. Right here you can see both the Epoch batteries have their on and off, and then here's the battery levels for both Epoch batteries. This is just included when you buy the Epoch batteries. This port right here is allowing me to take an Ethernet wire and run it from my computer directly into the Servo GX so I can program it directly from here to the back of the RV. This is the BIM on or off switch. So essentially, if I don't need the BIM, I don't need the BIM to run while I'm driving down the road, I can just switch that to the off position or the on position. And if I don't need it, I turn it to the off position. This is the trickle charge. Again, self-explanatory. I turn it on, it'll trickle charge. In fact, it should be on right now. Trickle charge the batteries as it's sitting in storage. This is the slide in and out, and then the same place as the other devices, the tank levels, the fresh tank, the propane, all that stuff. There is a battery check over here. It still reads 13.46, so I think it's reading someplace. I'm not sure where, but it's reading the house voltage batteries. And this is our satellite control. It's just a Velcro switch that takes off the remote control for our TV remote. So yeah, so that's the final layout, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks. Hey everybody, thought I'd bring you along and show you what I've been doing today. I'm actually beyond installing the lithium batteries, and now I'm installing the solar panels. And originally I was going to install two groups of 3 solar panels on the top of the RV. There's one group of solar panels. They're the Renogy solar panels, 200 watts a piece. There's the model and type. And I bought them almost a year ago, so I'm just getting around now to putting them on. But what I did is let me turn the camera around. I put some strut channel on each side with some VHB tape in 3 sections. And then I bolted the panels together with 1/4 inch 20 stainless steel bolts. And then on the side, I used L brackets and put 1/4 20 bolts in 3 locations. So this was the idea. I was going to put 6 solar panels total, 2 groups of 3. However, after measure twice, cut once, right? So I got one group of solar panels. I'm going to show you that in a second. They're up on the roof right now. I had to use that rig to slide the group because it was quite heavy. I had to get my neighbor to help me. I'm going to show you where I put the one group of 3 panels. I put them on the front of the RV. The second one, I'm going to have to take that array apart because it's essentially I have to break it apart and install 3 separate solar panels. So that's on another day, but I'm going to get those 3 up on the roof today. I'm going to show you how I did that in a second. Okay, everybody, we're up on the roof right now, and you can see this is the front solar panel. There's the front of the RV. This is the front set of 3 solar panels, 200 watt. Let me show you how I've got this strut channel. Essentially, I've got the strut channel, and I use these rivet nuts to attach these bolts with small angle irons. And you can see I've got the very VHB very high bond 3M tape underneath that in 3 sections. 1 section, 2 section, and 3 section. I have this aluminum tape. It's basically duct tape, not duct tape, that aluminum tape you put on your air ducts. I use that to keep debris from getting in those holes, because on the other side of that is the VHB sticky stuff, and I didn't want to cut out the holes. I wanted to use those, so I just put that over there to keep the debris from sticking in there and creating a mess. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a Tapcon down through each of those 3 locations. 1, 2, and 3. So then 3 on the other side, and then I've got 2 of those L brackets. That just set that on top. 2 of the L brackets in the middle that are also going to be Tapconed into the roof. So I have a total of 8 Tapcons holding these 3 solar panels on, plus the 3M VHB tape. I got my inspiration from RV with Tito, Brian. He did the same kind of setup, and he drove it to Alaska and everything else, so it seemed to work out for him. Underneath this fiberglass, this is a fiberglass roof. Underneath this fiberglass is just a 1/4 inch piece of Luan, so it doesn't matter how big a bolt you have. You're only going into 1/4 inch Luan through the fiberglass and into 1/4 inch Luan. So you're really limited on what you can do to attach this without, clamping, like the air conditioners are clamped down between the roofs. Well, this one, we're just going to screw it down in. And so I'm going to use Tapcons to go into that. And then the wires go across there and over into that box right there. And I'll show you that once I get to that point. So that's where I'm at. All right, everybody, looks like I got the solar panels installed. All of the lag bolts are screwed down. I gotta tell you, I put those Tapcons in, and it doesn't hold very well because the fiberglass and the Luan underneath it are so thin. So I would highly encourage the VHB tape. In fact, that's your primary holding mechanism for this. So I put the pigtails, and I haven't finished wiring it. Your wires are just going over there for now. But the front solar panels are installed. Step 1. Thanks. Bye. Well, I think it's finally finished. So I thought I'd give you guys a quick overview of what the final layout looked like and final install. Let me go through it real quick on the roof. I'm standing up on the roof of the RV over in our storage area. You can see the front 3 arrays. That's one array, one solar controller. The next 3 are for a second. So I have 2 solar controllers for this, and they're separate. Ideally I'd have it different, but real estate obviously is always a constraint for any solar install. So let me go through and show you what I did and where I ran the wires. Starting up here at the front, you can see the 3 panels. I went through that before. I just put the wire loom on today, and then going down through, there's the second 2 panels, and then finally over to the last panel. All the wires run through the box right over here I put in, and it runs down through the refrigerator compartment and down into the basement. Those lines over there have nothing to do with the solar. They're the condensate drains for the AC that I installed, and they go all the way to the back of the RV and drain out. So I don't have a condensate drain built into the RV. I just put one on top of the roof. So this has been a long journey. I started this thing in March, I think, of 2024, and I worked on it on and off. So I think about 1 year and 8 months to get it totally installed. I gotta tell you, in retrospect, the biggest, hardest part of this was getting the batteries and the inverter installed. The solar panels were just running wires and attaching them. The solar panels were not as bad. And honestly, if somebody didn't even need to put solar panels on, the key thing is the batteries. Get your batteries going first. That'll give you the most enjoyment and the most use. The solar is nice. I mean, we have 1,200 watts of solar up here. We pretty much we can get up to about 800 watts of that 1,200. You'll never get all of it. I think I've maxed out at 800 watts. And it's nice because you can, for boondocking in a sunny place, and you don't have to run the air conditioning, we can stay indefinitely with the batteries on board and the solar power. We've had to run the generator a couple of times when we've had no sun or parked in a shady spot. But all in all, I still haven't decided whether I'm going to keep the generator or not. But right now, it's still on board. Overall, I think this is a great project. The final cost came out to about, with all the batteries and all the solar panels, I think it was about $11,000, which is expensive. But if you had somebody else do it, I think if you had somebody install it, they're 20 plus nowadays. So it was more of a learning experience, and I enjoyed doing it. So I appreciate for those who traveled along with me over the last year and a half. I appreciate you watching. Hopefully this helps somebody else out that has a Tiffin leg or open road, or actually any RV for that matter. Just gives you some ideas of how you may want to do your. I watched a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of research, and so I decided to do this on a whim and start documenting it. And I hopefully it helps somebody out there. And let me know what you think. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.